Hi guys, welcome to part 4 of our training on website and blog development using WordPress. So in this part, we're drawing closer to the actual blogging process. So in this part 4, we're going to talk about the process of generating or the process of owning your own domain name and setting up the rudimentary processes of the blog so you can install your WordPress and get into the highway of blogging. Now, there are a few preliminary stuffs that I want us to take note of here, and those are the things I'm going to talk about. One is purchasing a domain. Now, the basic rudimentary of hosting a domain is, or the basics of a site or purchasing a domain or hosting plan is your monthly traffic. This is very important. These are the core areas that you should um, put into consideration. As a basic rule of thumb, I will advise you to avoid any web host that tells you unlimited this or unlimited that for a cheap amount. You see a lot of web hosts, they will tell you unlimited traffic, unlimited storage space for $5, $3, $2. Anybody, unlimited traffic even. Anybody who tells you any of their items is unlimited with full speed, go out of that website because nobody will give you unlimited anything for a few dollars a month. If such unlimited plans were doable, then why do we have VPS, or why would we have cloud storage, and why would we have dedicated servers? So please run away from anything unlimited. Now, the keys or the few points you have to take into consideration is monthly traffic. Please note these things down. Your monthly traffic, if you want to purchase a hosting, check the monthly traffic. But as a beginner blogger, you can start with a plan that doesn't give so much traffic because it will save you some costs. It will save you money. But it's best for you to start this on a web host that has higher plans so that as your blog grows, as your traffic grows, or as your data grows, your storage grows, you will just migrate to another of their plan, which is less stressful than migrating to another web host totally. Now, storage also, apart from monthly traffic, you should have storage. Then you have your bandwidth. Then panel. Some web hosts use different panels, but most web hosts use cPanel. cPanel is the most famous panel that is being used. And in this particular training, we're going to use cPanel. Now, but don't get it twisted. Now, all the panels, irrespective of their names and structure, they contain the same thing. They may have just one or two slight differentiations that, or different things that they may contain that is not in others. But if you learn with any of them, you can manage any of the panels. Like I started with cPanel. There was a time I used a web host that gave me one kind of crazy panel that I didn't understand, but I acclimatized to it. And when I was hosting with Scala Hosting has SH panel, which is a panel that they themselves developed in Scala Hosting. I think it was done by their team because they want. I think that was during. I think that happened during COVID. That a lot of web hosts suffered loss of clients, because web hosting and stuffs like this became a bit expensive. So a lot of people, I believe a lot of people could not continue funding their hosting plans. In fact, during the COVID, I think hosting price reduced a lot. So all the panels contain the same thing. Now, when you open your search engine or your browser and you search for web hosting um, platforms or web hosting websites, basically you're going to see a lot of items on their list, like they say file limit or inode. Now, your file limit is the amount of files that you can store on your site. But it may seem big, like some web hosts will tell you your inode is 1.4 million. Don't get deceived. Anybody who gives you a file limit, walk away from that web host. Because I remember recently, one of my clients, I removed his blog from my hosting panel and purchased another hosting panel somewhere and took his site there. Now, I've been working on this blog for a couple of months, over 3 or 4 months, and the blog had less than 100 articles published there. So one day while I was going through the cPanel of that blog, I now saw that it has a limit on the inode or the file limit. I think they said the file limit was 400,000. And when I checked, I had already used 100 and something thousand. So I was like, what's the meaning of this? How can you tell me I've used 100 and something thousand for a blog that has less than 100 posts? That means if we go at the pace with which the client sends me posts to publish, that means in the next 3 months, this hosting plan will become invalid because I won't be able to post more. Because once you get to your inode limit, you cannot post more things. Now, another item on the hosting list, sometimes you see some people, they tell you bandwidth. They can give you in gig or in terabyte, or they can give you in numbers. Some hosts will tell you 50,000 visitors for the month, 100,000 visitors for the month, 300,000 visitors for the month. Now, this is not bandwidth oriented. Sorry, this is not gig oriented. But some will tell you 3,000 gig, which is 3 terabytes, 1 terabyte, 500 gig. Now, 500 gig means that for the month, the traffic that will go through your blog is 500 gig. This implies that if a page on your blog is say 1 MB, that means 1 gig is 1,000 people, 1,000 page views for that blog. So 1,000 has already taken 1 gig. So if they give you 500 gig for the month, and in one day you have 10,000 visiting your site or visiting 10,000 pages, that means you have taken 10 gig. So if your 500 gig is used before the 15th of the month, from that 15th of the month, your website will no longer be available for guests to look, to see, to interact with. So you have to be a little bit conscious of this. But for a start, anything that gives you 100,000 visitors or even 50 gig or 100 gig is okay, because you're starting the site newly, you're starting your blog newly, and you don't know your traffic strength. When you run the blog for a few months, you will understand the trend and you will see how your traffic is growing. Then you can make adjustments. Now, another item is mailbox. Some web hosts will limit your mailbox to a few. Some don't have limit on your mailbox. But those that limit your mailbox are mostly web hosts that are cheap. Like, let's take for instance some of these web hosts that gives you hosting plan for $5, $3, $2 a month. In most cases, they will limit you to your mailbox and your database. Your database is like your storage units. It's like in simple words, I'll use it like a Microsoft Excel that you stored your data. Now, each website you have has its own database. So some web hosts, to regulate you, to prevent you from maximizing or utilizing a lot of their server resources, they can limit you to 5 databases or 3 or 1. It depends on it. But mostly you will find 10. Most web hosts are limited to 10, especially for low budget hosting, below $5 or $10. You will find this. Now, another thing that you will see on the list of most web hosts is storage type. You have HDD, SSD, then NVMe. Now, HDD is an old system of hard drive. It's not so fast. SSD, faster. NVMe, fastest. Now, sometimes this matters depending on your location and your audience, the audience for your traffic. Web hosts that give you HDD are usually cheaper, but HDD is not as fast as SSD. But if your traffic comes from countries with high internet, like there was a time I saw Google Fiber in America has a speed of 8 gigabytes per second. So even if you have a HDD hard drive, it doesn't really matter. Your site will function very well. Where the site may lag is if you have a high traffic, the site may lag a little. But for best practices, I'll say start with SSD. But if you can't find an SSD host with the budget you have, go for HDD. It doesn't matter. Remember, you're just starting a site. As time grows on, you can make adjustments. You can shift from one host to another. You can still move from one plan within your host to the next plan, a higher plan. Now, I just listed about 5 free panels. There are also paid panels, but these are the 5 free panels that you may see. It's called Hestia CP, which is ideal for VPS. VPS is virtual private servers. These ones are more sophisticated than your basic hosting. Then you have Cyber Panel, you have Cloud Panel, you have AA Panel, ISP Config. Then I'm seeing CentOS Web Panel. Then top paid panels, you have Plesk. Plesk, yes, I've used Plesk panel once. There was a host I used over 10 years ago. They had Plesk panel. It was a bit difficult for me, but I didn't use that host for a long time. So you have Direct Admin, S panel, not SH, S panel by Scala Hosting, and you have Apis CP. These are different panels, but remember, like I said, the panel doesn't really matter. What matters is get the content of the panels and you can manage any panel. Okay? Now, some hosts are going to give you free CDN. Run away from such people. Nobody gives you free CDN. CDN is not free. CDN is Content Delivery Network. The Content Delivery Network is these are like servers located on different parts of the world. So if your server, if your information, your blog is hosted on a server somewhere in maybe India, and you are in America. Now, if someone in America wants to access your site in India, it may take a longer time for the site to load. So you can use CDNs maybe in America or in Europe or closer home, especially if you have traffic from those countries. Now, the CDN, the Content Delivery Network, will reproduce or replicate your server within their CDN. Now, what this does is it brings your server closer home. So people can view your blog at a faster rate than when it's connecting from India. So some web hosts will tell you free CDN, but please run away from such people because nobody gives free CDN. If they are charging you for hosting your site, why would they give you free CDN? Now, some will also tell you free SSL. Yes, SSL is free. There's a free SSL. SSL is security certificate. So it's free, but people can also use, or you can also use a paid SSL. Most hosting panels give you the freedom of generating a free SSL from your cPanel or from your panel. Then another thing you will find in the listing of your web host is that some will tell you unlimited websites. They may give you unlimited websites, but they may limit you by giving you a particular number of inodes or by your storage space. Like a web host can say you have 100 gig storage space you can use for unlimited number of sites. Or they can say you have 50 gig. You can use it for only 5 domains. So the moment you have 5 domains, you can no longer have more domains. So remember, like I said, anybody who tells you unlimited storage, unlimited bandwidth, run away from them. What else again? Okay, auto backup. Yeah, auto backup is normally there. Light speed server, FTP. These are just basic things that you will find in the listing of your web hosts. But the rule there is avoid anybody who tells you anything is unlimited. There is no unlimited thing in the online world. Everything is paid for. You pay for everything. So choose your hosts appropriately, then register your domain. We're going to go through the process of registering a domain and doing all of this. But this is the theoretical aspect of it so that you will be guided. Okay? So after this, I'm going to go through a few web hosts so you see what it's like and you can choose for yourself. Okay? Cheers. Hi guys, welcome to part 4 of our training on website and blog development using WordPress. So in this part, we're drawing closer to the actual blogging process. So in this part 4, we're going to talk about the process of generating or the process of owning your own domain name and setting up the rudimentary processes of the blog so you can install your WordPress and get into the highway of blogging. Now, there are a few preliminary stuffs that I want us to take note of here. And those are the things I'm going to talk about. One is purchasing a domain. Now, the basic rudimentary of hosting a domain is, or the basics of a site or purchasing a domain or hosting plan is your monthly traffic. This is very important. These are the core areas that you should put into consideration. As a basic rule of thumb, I will advise you to avoid any web host that tells you unlimited this or unlimited that for a cheap amount. You see a lot of web hosts, they will tell you unlimited traffic, unlimited storage space for $5, $3, $2. anybody unlimited